Let's talk about Mercury retrograde. What's the deeper meaning of this time period? Does it really live up to its notoriety? How can you prepare? Now, there's certainly a lot to cover when it comes to something as fraught in modern society as Mercury in retrograde. So today I'm just gonna cover some of the deeper meaning and give you my tips, tricks, perspective, how you can direct your intention and even magic to get the best that you can. Hi, my name is Julia Helena Hattis. I am the author of 4 magic books on the topic of magical mixology, the moon, astrology, and spells. If any of that sounds like your jam, I would love it if you'd come hang out in this space with me, like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how this Mercury retrograde is treating you. Go ahead and grab a cup of tea or your favorite drink and let's get into it. Now, Mercury retrograde certainly has become quite the buzzword. Everyone seems to know about it, whether or not they're even into metaphysics, astrology, or magic. So what actually is it? Mercury retrograde is a time when the planet Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the sky. Are these planets that are going retrograde actually moving backwards? Of course not. It's all about our relative position in the solar system. But nonetheless, when it comes to astrology, these type of movements carry a meaning, a wisdom that you can really tune into if you are aware. Retrograde motion in astrology, in particular, is seen to bring challenges or review in a particular area of life or themes related to what that planet is seen to represent. It is also a time of just resurfacing, bringing up previously unseen matters, tensions, and while it can bring challenges with those areas, it offers the opportunity to heal so that way you can move forward in a new and different way. So the zodiac sign that it is happening in will have a certain flavor, the how of how that retrograde is going to express itself. Every retrograde can impact us all in different ways based off of our natal or birth charts. So knowing that information and looking up what house or area of life that planet is going to be retrograding through and offer more specific information on how that specific retrograde is going to impact you. Now, I want to say astrology does not have to be all doom and gloom. It's not deterministic in that way. It's really a message, a symbol or meaning that can kind of tell us about the general energetic weather. So for example, it can indicate fortuitous times to do certain types of activities, just like a bright sunny day can be a great time, especially in spring, right? Would allow you to go outside and be outside for long periods of time and garden. Whereas a rainy day during winter when it's cold, it just might be more favorable for staying inside, doing things inside the home. You can certainly go outside even if it's raining, right? But there's a good chance you're gonna get wet and it might not be such a fun time if you're not properly prepared. It's not necessarily about anything being good or bad, but just redirecting your focus or your approach. So let's talk about Mercury retrograde specifically. The planet Mercury is generally associated with communication, the mind, reasoning, intellect, how we think, understand, disseminate, and share or communicate information. It's also the messenger, right? So coordinating through communication between various aspects in order to really get the ball rolling. So it's initiating also in that way. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it is generally associated with a time of delays, traffic jams. You can think of issues coming up with technology or communication or travel or just general confusion, a general murkiness or lack of information. Sorry if you can hear that, my AC just came on. As a time of delays and miscommunication, Mercury retrograde is really an invitation to slow down and truly review things in depth. Now, this can certainly be a hard pill to swallow because in the modern hustle and bustle of everyday life, when we're all just trying to get by and survive, it's hard to really feel like you can fit in the time to slow down. But part of that aspect comes being properly prepared, but also just knowing that due to the nature of Mercury retrograde as this planet or deity who communicates and coordinates, really that intermediary who gets the ball rolling, good chances are that you're going to be encountering delays of some kind one way or another. Pre-plan with that in mind. Mercury retrograde is also a time when a lot of astrologers caution against signing contracts because it may bode that there may not be all the information. The project may have to start again anyway, or may have to be nullified or canceled, right? There might not be all of the information, or things may have been miscommunicated in some way. They might have to be redone. And also just the perspective that if something has to be rushed and can't be waited on when it comes to really big opportunities, are those things really healthy for you? Are they really good, right? There might be some hidden aspects. Then again, realistically, with Mercury retrograde, you can't always wait the 3 or so weeks, give or take, that Mercury retrograde is going to last, right? It's just not always realistic. So it's just really an opportunity and reminder to slow down if you can, really review, check that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, to make sure that things can move forward in the best manner as possible. While Mercury retrograde can rightfully be fraught with certain worries or woes, if you pause and tune into it, it can be a really great time to look at a specific area of your life, redo and revamp it. It really allows the possibility or adds a beneficial energy to look at and analyze things from the past, helping you to see repeating patterns and bring things to the surface that maybe you didn't notice before. So you can look at them, analyze them, and do that inner work to really heal and change those things moving forward. It's also an excellent time to revisit projects that maybe didn't have such a great start before or that you've abandoned. So while it's not a great time to start new things or launch new things, it is a great time to redo things from the past. So if there's projects that didn't take off necessarily, you have the ability now or the hindsight to really look at them and do them in a new and fresh way. You have that hindsight to make it a little more successful this time around. On that note, a lot of astrologers really emphasize around retrogrades, reflect, rediscover, revisit, right? Redo. So Mercury retrograde can be really great for that. And in the spirit of that, it's also great for reconnecting. So reconnecting with people from the past, just be wary of the possibility of miscommunication. In general, it's just an opportunity to reflect whatever area of your life's being really triggered and think about how you can slow down. When you're starting things, making sure that you're starting things the right way with all of the information and all of the lessons from the past. That being said, while there are certainly benefits, messages, meaning, and healing that can come from this time period, a lot of us, especially my teen self that was interested in metaphysics, come to learn about Mercury retrograde through not such great circumstances. So how do you prepare for the negative impacts of Mercury retrograde? So preparing for Mercury retrograde, give yourself more time to travel, actively practice patience when delays or roadblocks come up. Give yourself the time to pause there and really look at it, see if you can get a different perspective or if there's more information to be had. But also just generally take your time to get places, give yourself more time to review things, allowing yourself to sit with things for a bit, minding especially your words, knowing that miscommunication is probably going to happen. Schedule fewer things if you can to give yourself more time. Again, generally it's advised not to begin brand new things, but revisiting old projects. Super great for that. You're gonna have a new perspective to bring to those projects and it can be exciting. And again, look ahead to what sign it's going to be in, and maybe the house, to know specifically how it's gonna impact you. So let's talk about magical boosters to help you survive Mercury retrograde. Some magically inclined people will do certain activities or spells in order to prepare for Mercury retrograde. One of those things is crafting oils. So kind of like a carrier oil with a couple of essential oils or infused with herbs to help make for a smoother Mercury retrograde ride. So either using ingredients associated with Mercury or using ones that help generally with communication, grounding, protection, things like that. Then also they can anoint that oil when it's safe for skin on the skin, like dabbing it on the throat to help for clear communication, or anointing even crystals or talismans, and also candles. So some witches or people that are interested in magic will dress, a candle for Mercury retrograde with that oil and with a couple of herbs with the intention that it's going to help kind of smooth the effects of the time period. I also like to work with crystals for Mercury retrograde. My personal favorite combination is blue lace agate for clear, calm thinking, communication, peace. I like to use citrine for positive energy, hematite for grounding, but also because it has that reflective surface. So kind of reflecting energy back, since the energy of everyone else during Mercury retrograde can also be hectic and just add to the concoction of chaos. So I've loved working with that for grounding, but also protection in that way. And then also I like to incorporate amber or petrified wood for connecting to wisdom from the past. And this way I found this combination of stones. I put it in a bracelet form, but also in a little sachet bag. Helps me to really smooth out some of those less wanted effects of this time, while also still kind of getting what the period can be good for, still tuning into that wisdom and clearing out my energy and discernment. I also like to use lavender and chamomile, like in a sachet bag along with those stones, since they are both great for, calm, clear thinking and communication. But on that subject, if Mercury retrograde is really not a great time for starting something new, is it really a good time to be casting magic or spells? The thing with magic is, one, it's subjective. Two, it really depends on your intention. But also three, when it comes to magic, oftentimes it comes from a place of necessity. And again, the fact that it is subjective, each retrograde is going to be impacting everyone differently. If you need something, you cannot wait necessarily 3 weeks, right? If your rent is due and you are going to do a money spell, it's still going to be due whether or not it's Mercury retrograde. You have to do what you have to do. So this is where kind of the intentions or angle that you take on your spell work just might need a slight adjustment, which I think in general is a good skill to have as you get into magic. That example that we were talking about earlier, maybe you do a money spell to get the money from someone who owes it to you from your past, or maybe a client from your past comes back, and reaching out and networking with them. That can be a really smart way to do spells during Mercury retrograde, to cast magic at Mercury retrograde, and work with that cosmic energy to get your desired intention, just maybe not in quite the perspective you were originally taking. Not to get super new agey, right? But Mercury retrograde can be really useful for looking at early life, past life patterns, the mind, illuminating and analyzing and reasoning those things. And you can use that for a really powerful healing, for alchemizing that, removing those blockages to help those things flow more naturally to you. So that's just another way that you can subtly change your approach. You have to do what you have to do and just do it the best way with that intention at hand on how you can adapt your magic to actually take advantage of that energy in a positive way. So again, the key is really to learn to adapt your magic, your intentions, to tune in, align it to some other cosmically favorable force, or even alter or adapt your intentions. Know that delays might happen. Work with the energies at hand, but also make the energies at hand benefit your intentions. So Mercury retrograde, it's not always crazy. There are things you can do to help prepare, but just as with everything in magic and metaphysics, tune in. Give yourself the space and the tools to be as successful as possible, and you will be okay. And there may be even things that could possibly benefit you if you are aware and really tune and lean into that. If you want to learn more about Mercury retrograde, its meaning through the specific houses and signs, I highly recommend the Mercury Retrograde book by Yasmin Boland. It's really great so that way you do not have to spend hours of study every time Mercury is going through retrograde. If you know what sign it's going to be and maybe even your chart, what house that will be in your chart, you can look up and see what are the best things for you to be doing and some general information and meaning. So I will have that link for you down below. Does Mercury Retrograde have you needing a drink? If you know me, my magical mixology work, I have great suggestions for non-alcoholic and cocktail recipes for you with ingredients aligned to cleansing, clear thinking, communication, grounding. So I will have that link for you below if you want some cool suggestions on delicious and magically inspired recipes for this time period. How is this Mercury retrograde treating you? What are your tips and tricks for making it through? Let's share, let's help each other out in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are here, if you have made it this far, why aren't you liked and subscribed already? That really helps me out. I want to grow this space. I'm excited to share this information with you. So I'd love it if you could stay tuned to see what's happening next. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Bye.